takes, that's you. 3 takes, not me. 2 takes if you lucky. First take, stop me. 4 takes, that's you. 3 takes, not me. 2 takes if you lucky. First take, they got me.
Hey guys, welcome to another episode of the Cobb and Dash Show. We're back. Some are doing better than others. I'll say that much. I'll speak for myself. I'm doing pretty good. And one guy on our show probably was not happy about that. And then, a lot has changed really in the rankings. We'll get into that a little bit. But how's everyone doing?
I'm doing all right, man. I wish I was in a better spot, but I think there's brighter days ahead. It's all right.
Yeah, that was a tough loss you took on Sunday. Alex, how are you doing? Still in first place, barely hanging on, but you're still in first place.
Yeah, I mean, I was so glad that I was able to grind out that game last week against Hotch. My IDP came back on Monday night and won me the game at 5-1, and I needed that win because these next 2 weeks, it's kind of bittersweet. These next 2 weeks, I'm decimated with bye weeks. Right now, I had to start Peoples Jones off the waiver wire because my entire team is either on IR or on bench. Yeah, he got a 0. They announced that he was out 1 minute into the game. Apparently, he tweaked himself in warmups, which was awful. But it's all right. And Barry's team has a lot of bye weeks. The projections are still pretty close. And of course, next week my gimmick Raiders triple stack is out against Dash's team. But yeah, all things aside, after that, week 9 and on, everyone's back. That's the benefit. Everyone gets their bye week out in those 2 weeks. And so the rest of the season, I'll have everyone healthy, everyone on my roster. So feeling good. If I can go 1-1 these next 2 games, I'll be in a good spot.
Yeah, my team's been eyeing out your roster for next week. We're going to look at our chops, looking at that puppy. I can't wait to play you. And hopefully you're 1 seed by the time I play you next week, so I can eliminate from the 1 spot. And I can just leapfrog you and CP. Hopefully CP loses this week. But all right, let's get into it.
Back weeks of missing out on a stack. We'll get to that, but kind of fortunate with the schedules.
Yeah, because I'm really afraid of the Raiders stack over there. Okay, so we'll begin with Alex's game. Cobb, I'll let you take that one. The Monday night comeback. Alex 139 to Hotch 136.
Yeah, we were watching it close the entire game. We thought Hotch was going to pull it out, and then of course Poyer ended up getting interception, and that helped a lot. But no, Alex has been cruising. He's had a lot of close games, but 5-1 is 5-1. Same with CP. We'll get to him in a little bit. He made that trade for Derek Carr. I wasn't sure that he was going to be able to put up that many points. I thought he was going to get low 20s, high teens. But he threw up a 25, outscored Brady. We talked about it on the show. Brady didn't really show out for Thursday night. Didn't do what he's typically been doing. So that really helped. CeeDee Lamb and Cooper Kupp canceled each other out. They both had a good game. CeeDee Lamb obviously had that walk-off touchdown, which helped get him to that point. But no, this is a close game. I think this is a big one, especially because Hotch had been heating up. We kept talking about how good his team was, but now he's sitting at 3-3. He's in 4th place, but he's still 2 games behind Alex and CP, similar to me. So we have some games to make up. So I think this is a big one on Alex, and just a really gritty win.
Yeah, it was a great win. Good for Alex for doing what he needed to do to maintain the number 1 spot. The next game was Mr. MIA, who somehow is still 5-1 on a 5-game win streak. Hasn't lost a game since week 1. Overall, I think he's a 9th in points scored. So, if we were just going by points, he wouldn't be in the playoffs. But we're not. So, a big win. I think this was the highest score of the year, 145, which is, I think, my 2nd or 3rd lowest score of the year. So that's pretty cool. Matt Stafford came out, did what he did at week 1. Everybody from top to bottom did really well on this team. Fant did his thing. Henderson did his thing. Brandon Cooks did his thing. Even Emmanuel Sanders got above it, double digits. His team's doing what it needs to do to win games. Now, is it going to be a team that can play like a top dog in the playoffs and score high? I don't know. This team doesn't really doesn't really excite me. Maybe when McCaffrey comes back, I can give him that boost. But I mean, he was supposed to come back 2 weeks ago, and they put him on IR. They said at least 3 more weeks. So I don't know what's going to happen with that situation. But hey, 145 solid. And beating ZT's team, I think we all had ZT winning this game. I think so. I know I did. But yeah, they took a big lead. The Ravens took a big lead on the Chargers, and they just ran the ball out and really didn't do much through the air. So that's why Lamar Jackson's 13 really didn't help out. He didn't get his normal 30 or 40. But yeah, overall, yeah, ZT, his team didn't look good this past week. I think better days are ahead for him. But yeah, CP just struck gold on a solid week from everybody.
I'll tell you what, just quick comment on this. I mean, there's only 3 teams ahead of them or behind them in points for. And this is where like you see how different, like, I mean, Paul, he has almost 220 more points against than CP. I mean, CP's got to be feeling on top of the world with how the schedule's panned out and still haven't, like, he's still waiting on CMC. So his team's just going to get better. So getting these wins now are huge.
What is it? Where is he rank as far as points scored against him? Is he like bottom of the league?
He's the bottom of the league. The next closest is 60 points away.
Wow.
Yeah. And then Paul, who has the most, is 218 away.
Wow.
So like, that's crazy.
That's just a luck of the draw. Man.
That's the biggest spread I've seen in a while.
Alex, talk to us about what some say was the game of the weekend to rematch the last year's champion championship rematch of last year's 1 and 2 seeds, and obviously the Cobb and Dash Show champion or Cobb and Dash Show game. So talk to us about that one.
Well, this game kind of went exactly how I predicted it on last week's episode. My prediction was that Dash was going to win. He was going to put up over 160, and Cobb was going to obviously by the losing end of this match, but he was going to have a high scoring week too. I predicted. I said minimum 145 or higher for Cobb. And it was exactly that. It was the highest scoring game of the week. And, Dash set the pace on Thursday night with Leonard Fournette dropping a 30. And so, he kind of, took the early momentum and just ran away with it. This game, it wasn't as close. I know that the score, it's only was at 15 points away or so. The score, the game really wasn't as close as it was. I think he ran away with this game early. And Cobb was just kind of trailing the entire time. And, there's not much you can do when your opponent's dropping, 175. If you're averaging 159, 160, basically, every week, or you're putting that up, you're going to win, more, you're going to win 8 out of 9 times. It's just unfortunate that he had to play Dash's team this week. I don't think there's many teams that would have beaten him this week. And so, yeah, it was just an overall good performance, anchored by Fournette on Thursday night. And then his quad stack just came in strong. There's nothing really, Damian Williams dropping a 24. And then, obviously, Tyreek in the 20s, Mahomes basically got a 30, and then Kelsey with basically a 15 there. And so it's just everyone just came in so strong. Jacobs with a 15. So it was just a well-balanced attack by Dash's team. Cobb had a good week. He had a couple of players. Dalvin Cook's back. I think he's thankful for that. A lot of players played well in his team. It's just an unfortunate, matchup this week. So we know Cobb has the ability to score a lot of points. So, going forward, I think he's looking to get back in the win column and get back in the, I think he's a solid playoff team, but I think he definitely still has a shot down the stretch to make a push for the bye week. So we'll see.
Yeah, I mean, I will say I didn't run away with it quite early on. It was the second half of the Redskins-Chiefs games. That's what kind of catapulted me to taking a big lead. Once the second half happened, it was done after that. Yeah,
it was starting to get a little reminiscent of the championship game against the Chiefs against the Falcons, and I was loving it. But then your stack scored a touchdown, and then it was just catch up mode from there on. Kyler dropped a lot, or he got 4 touchdowns, but again, there's a lot of points he left on the board there. I called him to get a 50. He fell a little short of that.
Which Kyle and I talked about this. Every time Kyler wouldn't score in the red zone, because he probably could have had 7 or 8 touchdowns if you think about it. I was getting the points. I had Matt Prater because he was capitalizing on Kyler Murray not scoring. So that's why. And then Matt Prater got a 15. So I thought that was fantastic. But also quad stack, I got me an 88 points, 4 guys divided by 22 each. It's pretty solid. The quad stacks are the way of the future. by the end of the season, Josh Gore gets implemented in the lineup. We got the Quint stack, first ever Quint stack. First ever quad stack. We're gonna be the first ever Quint stack. Mark my words. All right, so next one, Alex talked to us about where's the 4 seed? Oh no, we already did the 4 seed. 6 seed. Yeah, okay, yeah. DK's dollar bills versus Kale Fraud. Kale Fraud looked like a fraud this week, not even scoring 100 points. Talk to us about it.
Yeah, and this was Kale Fraud coming off of 2 huge weeks in a row where he had massive wins and it was heading in the right direction. We were talking about last week on the show that Barry's team was red hot, and it was a team that we said it was starting to come together. And we know last week even his weakest link, Miles Gaskin, went off, and everything that was going right for him, kind of the opposite happened this week, and everything just started to fall off. It was a good performance, obviously anchored down by Josh Allen for Ruben's team here. His stack came through. Diggs had his second touchdown of the year and dropped to 20, and obviously Josh Allen with a 37. So his stack finally came to play and won him a game. I know for Ruben's sake, I'm sure that he wished a couple other games that that stack showed up, and maybe long term going down the rest of the season, we got 8 games left in the regular season. Maybe that stack just continues to perform. But overall, it was a good week. He had that trade for Alex Collins, and I know he's questionable this week, but helped him win this week. So he traded his backup QB to get a player that helped him get a win this week. So I think he's feeling good about that. Everyone else played okay for his team, but yeah, I think more so than Barry, this is just a bounce back game for Ruben, who Ruben was sitting at 2-3. And a team that we knew was a playoff caliber team. I mean, both these teams are, but we knew that it was going to be his time to shine soon. And so, we're glad that he got back in the win column. And we'll see. Fantasy is a game of runs, game of who can get hot, who can go on a streak. And so we'll see what happens with his team, and we'll see what happens with Barry's team as well, because the opposite can happen. You can go on a losing streak. So when a stack, doesn't come through, we'll see what happens.
Yeah, overall, Barry's team is really not I was looking at it. It's not really a sexy team. I think we're gonna have something to say about this in the tomato wash rankings.
Yeah.
After kind of looking at this is really bad. There's no depth on the team. He made that trade for Damian Williams, which has been a disaster. And then Jameson Crowder's at a bye week. Yeah, kind of a bad draft for Barry. And he had all his picks too, so this is really awful.
And the thing I would be the most worried about if I was Barry is Paul's team. Paul got to that bad start. Now he's won 2 in a row. His team's on fire right now. Saquon's coming back for his team. Nick Chubb's probably gonna be back next week. And so, if I'm Barry, I have my eyes wide and circling that whenever they play each other. And I don't know, man, Paul might be the person to knock Barry out.
Yeah. Yeah. So Cobb, talk to us about our boy Stu. He's got a little winning streak. A lot of people didn't see this coming. But he's doing big things. Beating Roden by 1 point. Talk to us about that one.
Yeah. I mean, definitely a close game. Stu is right in that mix of the 3-3 teams we talked about. You don't really want to be in that position. Because it just cluttered. Stu grinding out a win against Roden, who was coming off of a high of being Dash, the guy that had been dogging him for so long. And I think kind of maybe a hangover from that game for Roden. He still put up a decent amount of points, but I mean, I'm looking at his team. He's starting like Mo Alley Cox, who he got one reception. Thankfully, that reception was the touchdown, but I guess that's why you're starting Mo Alley Cox, is to get the touchdowns. I mean, Roden probably would have won this game if Kareem Hunt didn't get hurt and went to IR. That's a huge hit to Roden, who already didn't have that much depth working for him. Kareem Hunt was probably one of the best players on his team. Now he's gone for 4 to 6 weeks. I mean, Stu, on the other hand, he had a terrible game from Herbert, and I don't think we see that often going forward. So to get a win when he puts up a 13 it's huge. And then D-Hop, he had 2 receiving touchdowns, which obviously that's kind of weak to get an 18 and have 2 receiving touchdowns, kind of like a Chris Parsons score there. Yeah. But I don't know, like it's just not like a really flashy game. But for Stu to have get a win when his stack of Herbert and Keenan Allen produced less than 25 points. That's huge for him. And just a kind of a cherry on top for the kind of disastrous season that was that's been going for Roden.
Yeah. And I'll say Stu's a big fan of JD McKissick. JD McKissick's been for 2 years in a row. That's been a really like a shining light on his squad. And so 2-game win streak. Stu's not out of it yet, man. And he's got a top flight quarterback in Justin Herbert. I know he had 13 last week, but he won despite Herbert having a 13. And, it goes against what we say on the show. If your quarterback outscores the other quarterback, you're going to win. It didn't happen here. If Herbert gets in the playoffs, that's a potential 40 points from a quarterback anytime, any day of the week. So that's a team to watch out for. Okay, so final matchup of the recap. I'll take this one. It's a guy that I bet with Cobb, and I think Cobb's starting to get a sweat a little bit. I don't think Adam's going to get another win. He lost 139 to 154. 139, solid score. I'm surprised he even put up 139 with this team. But I'm very curious to see what his team looks like this week because I have a feeling it looks really bad based on Najee Harris being on a bye week and Dak Prescott being on a bye week. So I'm very curious to see what Adam's team looks like this week. But yeah, he's going against Paul 154. Paul finally got a win, but still quarterback play did not help him. Another game where quarterback play doesn't go with what I say about if you have a quarterback who outscores the other team, you win. Prescott outscored Paul by 27 points, by Tannehill by 27 points, and still lost by 15. Just goes to show how good Paul's team is. Paul, all his running backs came to it. The ones that he actually had last week between Jonathan Taylor and Henry, at 69 between the two of them. But Kadarius Toney, we trade a 4th-round pick for, gets hurt in the opening quarter. Trade me a 4th-round pick. The guy's probably going to miss a few weeks, they say, at least 2. But then the guy I still have who dominated the beginning of the season, Sterling Shepard, he became the guy again, had 11 catches or some shit, 17 targets last week. So that trade's not looking good for Paul right now. I know he won, but not looking good, especially when he's got Toney and Odell Beckham and really no other receiver on his team. It's not good. But yeah, overall, as long as Derrick Henry and Jonathan Taylor are getting the full loads in their teams, Paul's a team to be reckoned with. Adam's team, 139 might be the highest he'll score for the rest of the year. I don't think he's going to score higher than a 139. I think Adam's team, got lucky with the 139. He should have won that game. If you score 139, you should win generally. But yeah, I think Adam hit his peak right there, and yeah, it's going to be going down now. Are you scared?
Yeah, I was going to make that money, and then Derrick Henry gets 3 touchdowns. So only so much you can do.
Are you scared though? Do you still think you're going to win this bet?
Yeah, I mean, there's still what, like I don't know, like 8 weeks left, something like that.
6 weeks left.
It's gonna happen, all right. I mean, you gave me great odds. I had to take it. If I lose, I lose. But those kind of bets you got to take.
That's fair. I mean, and he's going against a Roden this week, so there is a shot that he could win.
Yeah.
So, all right. So we're gonna go to the preview of this week, and with that, we'll let Cobb begin with Big Berry Sales going up against Kale Fraud.
Yeah, I mean, this is a tough week. I mean, again, it's we do these shows on Fridays, so we kind of had the insight of the Thursday games to build off of, and Alex touched on, he had to start Peoples-Jones last night, and he ended up getting a goose egg. It's a rough start to his week. And then on the other hand, Kale Fraud is off to a pretty decent start. I mean, 7 from the kicker, that you're going to take that every week, and then 7 from Myles Garrett. Also, like IDPs, 7s are what you want. Yeah. So right now, I mean, I thought the projection was going to be a little more in Barry's favor, but it just kind of shows how good of a team Alex has. It's still kind of a 50-50 shot. I think what's going to happen here is one. Well, let's see. I don't even know. Does Barry have a? Okay, I mean, I saw that Eckler's on by, and that's probably helping the projections right now. Yeah. Barry's obviously got to fix that and not start a person that's on by. Kind of week he still has them in right now.
He's rolling out a 2 tight end set according to his.
Oh yeah, Jesus. I mean, this team's a mess right now. But I think his stack going against Washington is going to be similar to to what we saw with the Chiefs, Aaron Rodgers and Devontae Adams stack should be set to go off this week, which should be obviously very beneficial to Barry to keep this game close. But on the other hand, I mean, I think despite having people Jones get 0, Alex has some great matchups coming in, like Carr against Philly at home. That's a great smash spot for Derek Carr. He's predicted to get a 20. I think he gets more in the 25-30 range. Cooper Kupp against Detroit is a great game too. It's a revenge game for Stafford. So I think he's going to be trying to throw as many touchdowns as he can. So right there, I mean, I don't think it cancels out the stack on Barry's side completely. But I think like as long as that stack produces like maybe 10 to 15 points less than the pack stack, I think Alex is gonna be happy with that. And then if I think James Conner might be the starter if Chase said I don't know if Chase, I haven't heard any updates on Chase Edmonds' injury. But I just think Alex's team, despite getting the goose egg from Peoples-Jones, is a little too good for Barry to keep up with. He needs the stack to show up like they did against me last week. And if that happens, Barry wins. But for this, I'm going to give Alex another gritty win. I'm going to give it like a 128 to 120 kind of win for Alex.
Yeah, I think let's be brief here. I think Barry's going to win. I think it comes down to Donovan Peoples-Jones starting last night. I mean, was there any other options that you could have gone with? I mean, I didn't really check. Yeah, you didn't really have any other options. Yeah, I mean, so that sucks. Yeah, I think Barry wins. I think this game's been really low scoring, like 112. Yeah, pretty much what the projection is. Yeah, I'm going to go like 114 to like 109. Something that like your star Donovan Peoples-Jones will be like a game, like a star like fuck, like I lost by 5. If I just had anybody give me a fucking 6, I would have won. But yeah, I think Barry wins close. I'm very curious to see how this really like tier C double tight end set works out. That'll be fun to watch. But yeah, I think Barry wins in a close one.
Yeah, I think this game's in Barry's hands here. I mean, I think it comes down to his stack. I obviously I'm not going to root against my team, but it's tough. I had everyone on bye right now, and I had to start Peoples-Jones. I didn't feel too bad about it going into the matchup because I was, if you look at his game log, he had like a 19 last week and I think like 11 the week before. So I felt decent about it. And I knew Landry was coming back from injury, so he might not be 100%, and everything going on with Odell. He got like 1 catch last night. So, I knew that he wasn't going to perform great, but I was like, okay, if he can just get me maybe an 8 or something, 7, that's fine. And then, they didn't announce it, but apparently he tweaked his hamstring like 1 minute before the game in warmups. And then Yahoo and on Twitter, they announced that he was ruled out for the game. Like 2 minutes after the opening kickoff. So there was nothing I could have done there. I got screwed over. But yeah, my team's down bad right now with bye weeks between, Claypool out, between Zeke out, James Robinson out. And so, and obviously Tony Pollard out as well. So I was down like all my options here, but I do think, Barry's on the receiving end of this too. And so we'll see. What I suspect Barry's going to do is he'll probably move Myles Gaskins to RB1 and probably flex Tyler Boyd. I would assume that that's what's going to happen. I do like Connor against Houston, though, because obviously we know he might be the only back if Edmonds is ruled out. But also I think that game against Houston could get ugly and they just might pound the ball that second half. And I could see him getting some second half touchdowns. And so I actually like him in that matchup. And then I'm feeling a Bateman breakout game. It was his first game ever last week. He ran routes on 66% of Baltimore snaps. He's coming back from that groin injury. His volume's just going to increase. I think he actually has a breakout game. And then Zach Ertz, his first game in Arizona, he probably doesn't know that offense. He's probably not going to get the work that he will in the next 2 or 3 weeks. So those are my keys to victory for this week. But I think it comes down to his stack. That stack, and we know it can blow up. It can blow up for, 60 plus points. And if that's the case, I'm not going to be able to compete. This team, for me this week isn't going to put up a lot of points. I do see myself, my ceiling being like maybe 125 this week. And so I don't think Barry's going to put up a lot of points. I think it's going to be a gritty matchup. I think I win like 117 to 110, something like that, but we'll see. It'll be a dogfight.
Yeah, it'll be a dogfight. I can definitely see the upset though, even though some would say it wouldn't even be an upset because you're without half your team. So
Yeah.
all right. So next one, I'll take this one. You got Mr. MIA versus Paul. Obviously, we were praising Paul's team. Paul is lucky because Derrick Henry's going up against the Chiefs, and Ryan Tannehill is. I will say our pass defense is better than our run defense. Or no, our run defense is better than our pass defense. We've played against Lamar, and Lamar didn't have a really good game rushing the ball against us. Tyson Williams had like 70 yards against us, but Tyson Williams and Derrick Henry are a little different. So I think one of those guys are going to really do well against us, whether it's Tannehill or Derrick Henry. We'll see. But let's say Derrick Henry does get his 23 and Tannehill gets his 25, which I could very well see happening as well. Yeah, I think Paul's going to win this game. He's just too much firepower. Plus, we're taking the firepower aspect that Paul has versus what CP already's had. So he's Noah Fant's got a 7 already. Jarvis Landry got a 7 already. I don't know. I just can't see CP winning this game. I think the bad luck that Paul suffered will finally it'll finally come, meet in the middle here. And I think he'll actually have a good game and CP will just score his number 120 and lose. And I just think CP can't overcome what Paul's about to bring to him this week with King Henry and JT, and definitely not Saquon Barkley. It'll be Devontae Booker. So yeah, I think Paul wins pretty handily here. Let's go 144 to 120.
I think just a quick note on that. Obviously, CP needs to have some big boom weeks from his guys, and I have an offer out for him or out to him right now. I'm not going to say what it is, but I think this offer helps keep him into this game. And again, he needs some boom players, and I think there's an offer that he has available to him, and I think he needs, after the performance last night, I think he might need to accept it. So I'm putting it CP. Let me know. So he's thinking about it. So we'll see.
Yeah, I've been on the receiving end of those thinking about text. That usually means that a couple weeks later he's going to say no to that text. So
yeah, listen. I'm coming to him with some hot offers. He's acknowledged that, but nothing gone through yet. So
I don't know if Corey Davis and Damian Harris is a sexy offer for me.
Not my offer. I've come more prepared than that. Corey Davis is mine, man.
So who do you have in this one though?
I have Paul. I mean, it's just I think Tannehill's gonna do a decent job against KC. They're gonna have to. The only thing that might keep CP in is that they're not going to be able to run it too much, or they shouldn't be able to, because KC is going to be scoring, and I would imagine Tannehill is going to want to throw. They're going to want Tannehill to throw more. But I mean, Derrick Henry by far best player in fantasy, and it's hard to argue against that. So I think Paul wins.
Alex?
I think Paul wins too, but I actually don't see this as a blowout. I just think that this game script's going to be pretty weird. Paul's a gritty owner. I mean, I don't know. I mean, I know Paul has the capability with all those guys to blow up, but I just see this game as just being kind of a grittier game, because I do like Stafford over Ryan Tannehill, and there's a couple matchups for CP that I like, and I don't think Saquon Barkley is going to play. I think he's probably going to have to plug in. Let's see, probably have to plug in Booker there for Barkley, and so between those guys, being down, I think it comes down to Jonathan Taylor and Derrick Henry. If they have big weeks like they have been the last 3 weeks in a row, I think that he'll cruise to victory. But if one of them has a slower week, I think it leaves the door open for CP to at least make a contested game at the minimum. So prediction, I'm gonna go 137 to 132 in favor of Paul.
Yeah, too many home run hitters for Paul as usual. All right. Yeah. So next one, Alex, get this one. It's my game. Bears pick up lines versus DK's Dollar Bills. Ruben had a nice start last night with Dearness Johnson. So talk to us about it.
Ruben had a huge start. I mean, you're lucky enough that next week you play me with I have 3 starters out on bye, including my quarterback and some of my my main. Obviously, Darren Waller is one of my main guys. Hunter Renfrow, he can be substituted with a bench player. He's not necessarily, a sure start every single week. But this week as well, his stacks out. Obviously, Buffalo's on bye, and I think he has one other key player on bye too. Yeah, Mike Williams on bye too, and obviously Chris Carson, who's on IR right now. So yeah, he's kind of banged up right now. And so, I was looking at this early in the week and I thought this would be a guaranteed win for you. That was pretty easy. I still have you winning, but I think that Ruben makes it a little bit interesting with Dearness Johnson dropping a 27 last night. I picked him up and started him in another league that I needed the depth. And so I was very thankful for his huge performance. But I just don't think he'll be able to overcome what that. Are you doing? Yeah, rolling out the quad stack again. I just don't think he'll be able to overcome that this week, unless Tennessee's defense buckles down and the Chiefs have a bad game. But that comes down to every week. If your quad stack doesn't perform, you're probably not going to win. I actually read. I don't even think Alex Collins is going to play this week, so his team's pretty banged up. Yeah, I see you winning. The only way that, yeah, I just think the only way that you can lose this game is if the Chiefs have a bad game.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think it's in your hands.
Cobb.
Yeah, I was going to ask you how it feels to have a running back blow up on Thursday night.
It's not good. The only thing is I have him in another league, so it was nice to have him score that much. That was the only silver lining to it, but yeah. Luckily, he doesn't have his big dogs this week, so it's like, okay, he can get 27 there. I think he's going to suffer in other categories. So
this was a normal week, and he had his guys, and he had Dearness Johnson going off. I think clearly an upset watch for you, but his guys are gone, so I don't really know how Ruben's going to be able to hold his own in this one, despite having a big week from Dearness.
Yeah. What's your prediction?
I predict that you're going to win. I'll give you 155 to 132 for Ruben. Big week for his big guys being on bye, but just not enough firepower.
Yeah. I agree. I think I win pretty handily. I think the 27 does up his projections a little bit, but I think it's going to be more 150-ish to 122, kind of what the original projection was, not the 137. Yeah, I mean, Tennessee's pass defense is one of the worst in the league, and I think that's the beauty of having a running back in this offense. I know we always talk about it's better to have one or the other, but like, let's say we do get down there and like I still get the points for it because it's not like if Mahomes hands it off. It's not like, shit, he hands it off, I lose the points. But even Mahomes' work of getting down there, I get the points for the handoff. So that's amazing. And Darrell Williams can continue to average his 2.9 yards a carry as long as he's getting me red zone tutties. I don't give a fuck, dude. All right. So next one, Cobb, take it away, is the make Hodge great again matchup versus ZT's fantasy team. Pretty important game for ZT if he wants to stay in the running for playoffs. Actually, both these guys.
Yeah, right. So Hodge right now sitting in that clustered 3-3, but his points for is keeping him on top of that group. And then ZT is in the even worse 2-4, playing catch up mode right now in 10th place. And I just, you're starting Njoku at your tight end. I mean, I don't know what ZT is thinking. Maybe he's trying to get cute, hoping for a big touchdown. But not the start ZT wanted. Sutton, I mean, he's a beast, but Teddy looked awful last night, I think. So that's got to be a little worrisome. ZT needed a big night from both those guys to get into this game. And unfortunately, he fell short of that with them scoring under or just over 12 points. I think the big news here is if Antonio Gibson's going to play or not. I hope he plays because I'm going against Stu. We'll get to that. But I just, again, kind of similar to Ruben, I just don't think he has enough firepower to keep up with Hodge's team. Obviously, Brady had a kind of slow week last week, but he still got over 20. And I think that the Brady Lamar showdown is going to be the biggest thing. I think ZT needs another 40, 45 point game from Lamar to keep this game close. And I don't know if he gets it, or he needs, I think Antonio Brown is projected to miss this game. I think Mike Evans is probably going to have a pretty big game. So he needs all the touchdown that Brady throws to go to Mike Evans. But again, even then, I'm going to go ahead and say that Hodge is going to win this one. He just got Jamar Chase. And I think that he's in prime position to hold on to that 4 spot and make some noise if Alex and CP start to start to drop. I just think he just has his starting lineup's just too strong for ZT to contend with.
Alex?
Yeah, I think that this could be one of the blowouts of the week. I think that Hotch is going to, especially after last week's tough loss, I think he bounces back. It is rough for him, having obviously Justin Jefferson and CeeDee Lamb, two of his main receivers on his offense or on his team here, who's out this week. But I just think that I like a lot of his matchups, and especially I don't know if Gibson's going to play with his shin. They might want to rest him this week, and so I think just especially with his bad Thursday night performance with Njoku with the 3, then Cortland Sutton, who the last 2 weeks has played great, especially with Deontay Johnson out. I think this is someone that that ZT was relying on to have a big performance this week, and so him dropping a 9 just puts him in a really bad spot. And there's just a lot of favorable matchups right now for Hotch, and so I can see him cruising to a victory this week.
Yeah, I'll go with that as well. I mean, I think the only really chance he has is having Lamar blow up. But having Lamar blow up without him throwing a couple touchdowns to Mark Andrews is also tough too. So Hotch does take away that little part as well. Yeah, I think there's too much firepower on Hotch's team to lose this game. If he does, I think this is probably one of the upsets of the weekend. If ZT does pull this game off, he needs this game, so he'll be scratching and clawing for a dub this week. But yeah, I agree with you guys. Hotch wins in a blowout, 160 to 124. Yeah. All right. Next one, I'll go with Alex. Talk to me about Protect the Throne versus Stu.
Wow. Yeah, this is going to be a big game this week. I think Stu coming off, back-to-back wins. Obviously, he has Herbert on bye, but, he has a great backup, probably the best backup right now in the league with Hurts. Hurts should be a starter. And, so it's great for him to have that depth. And obviously, especially if Gibson doesn't play, McKissick's due for a big week. I don't know about Julio's health, but he has, this is probably one of his best lineups that he's had, in terms of matchups in a while, especially D-Hop returning to Houston. I think that's going to be a huge game. But again, he's going against one of the most talented, unfortunately, Cobb's dropped a couple of games, a couple close games, but still undeniably has one of the most talented rosters in the league. And so it might be tough to overcome here. So let's see. I think the QB could be actually I can see Hurts having big games the Raiders. I do like D-Hop a little bit over Robert Woods. I like Kamara, but I think McKissick could have a big game. Tight ends even. Yeah, I'll give Mixon an advantage there. The next two are kind of washes. This game's a lot closer than maybe the projections lead it to be. I'm tempted to go with the upset right now, but I think I'm gonna lean. I think I'm gonna lean Cobb winning this game, but I have Stu putting some pressure on him, and I think it's gonna come down to Kamara on Monday night. And I think he's probably gonna need like a 14 from Kamara, which should happen, but it's still enough to just make him sweat. And then I think Cobb pulls this game off in the third quarter of Monday night.
And he has Bobby Wagner on Monday night too. So
yeah.
I actually do agree with Alex. I don't think Stu's going to win this game, but I do think Stu will have the lead going into Monday night. Obviously, you're down 2 players, so he should, in theory, have a little more points than you. But yeah, I do think so. But I don't like the McCole Hardman start, but he has nobody else to go with. Yeah. Julio Jones could be in line for a big game if AJ Brown's out. AJ Brown has like a flu or something right now. He's been throwing up all night according to his tweets. So who knows what happens with that situation. But Julio returned to practice yesterday, so he should be all right. And our corners aren't the best, so he could have a good game. But yeah, I think Stu has a little lead going into Monday night. 10 to 14 points, but that's nothing. I think you'll win the game. I think you'll end up winning the game by at least 15. So
this is just another case of I'm going against a team that has really good matchups across the board. I think I have good matchups, but it's definitely not one I'm brushing off like I did last year. I tried to brush off the game against Stu, and Stu ended up winning because I didn't end up scoring much. But I think this is going to be the opposite, where we both score a decent amount. I'm hoping I still pull out the win, but I would be lying if I said I wasn't worried about his matchups he's got coming into this week.
Yeah. So you think you win though?
Yeah, I mean, I think I win every week. I'm 3-3, so I've been wrong 50% of the time. So that's what Stu
Well,
wants.
actually, no, you did pick me to win last week.
No, I said I still was staying on my guys.
Oh, really? Oh,
Yeah, you can run the tape if you want. I
no,
definitely said I was.
I believe you. I thought after the whole Fournette 29, I thought you were,
I probably would have said, like, if I was being honest, I probably would have picked you, but I had to stick with my guys.
it's fair. It's fair. Okay, so now I know I was talking about my games like I had like the top 6 seeds. I would say those are the games of the week, but you know what? I have a weird affinity for the Tomato Kings and Tomato Watch. So when I see an 11 versus 12 matchup, that immediately pings in my head. I'm like, oh, that's matchup of the week, and this is matchup of the week. I'm gonna say. I think this is the only chance that Adam has of breaking my bet that I have on the league. But I really do love Roden's team, and I think Roden's got a much better team top to bottom, like than Adam does. And I even though the projections are weird, I don't think Roden. Yeah, Roden doesn't have 2 of his. Well, he better get a new kicker as well. But he doesn't have 2 defensive guys, 2 bye weeks on. But I'm gonna go with Roden here. I think Roden's gonna continue my bet to be. I'm gonna win this bet. Where if you haven't been watching the show, the bet is I've bet that since 2 weeks ago that Adam will not win another game for the rest of the season. And Cobb took that bet, $25. So yeah, I have Roden winning this game pretty handily. Actually, I don't think it's gonna be close. So Roden needs to remember to start his lineups. I think he'll be all right though. Yeah, I think Roden wins 134, 112. Roden.
I think this is, I mean, it's the Tomato Bowl, obviously. But Roden, I mean, I don't think he's paying attention because Antonio Brown's out and he's in his flex. He would have benched him, started Javonte Williams, who ended up getting a 16 last night.
Oh.
I mean, that just shows like I think his head's just not in this season. He
He's
has
out of
2
it.
defensive guys on bye right now. Adam is still projected to lose despite all of this. I think projections are still a little high because they have Antonio Brown scoring points, even though I think he's definitely not playing this week. They already have him dedicated as out, and they still have him projected to score. So Yahoo's got to fix whatever algorithm they've got going on too. I think their head's not in the game too. But yeah, this is just I think Roden wins this game, but he's off to a rough start by not starting Javonte Williams when he definitely would have if he was paying attention. So
It's not good.
no.
Yeah, it's not good at all. That goes back to what we were saying, before is, could Roden's legacy, the 3-time, back-to-back championship appearances, could his legacy be tarnished by a couple of bad seasons in a row? What are people going to remember, when you look back at a couple of years in the history books? And, I had mentioned at least that he had it was 3 moves back 2 weeks ago. It was pretty bad. And now this, I mean, he hasn't even updated his IDPs yet. It is rough. He's probably gonna have to roll out either Michael Carter or Ayuk.
It's pretty
Man,
bad.
it's tough. And here's the other thing: Chase Edmonds' chance he doesn't play.
He'll play. He's been eliminated. He's been practicing, but I mean, he's
Okay.
the same kind of designation for the last few weeks.
Yeah, I mean, only because of the Tim Patrick 3, I want to give Roden a win here because especially Antonio Brown's out. Then Chris Godwin should obviously have a good game. So I'm gonna lean Roden here, but I think it could come down to the QB play. If for whatever reason that Baltimore defense is just all over Joe Burrow, I know they're right now a strong passing offense. If they're all over him, he doesn't have a great game. And then New England, I know that their offense, the way they're doing it right now, it's not a high scoring team. Now it's kind of a matchup team, but if the Jets are pretty bad, if they just go up big on the Jets, and if Jones goes out, has 3 touchdowns, that's Adam's key to victory right there. But it's going to be tough, but I think it's within reach for Adam. So yeah, I think it's gonna be pretty close. But I have Roden winning 1-9, pretty low scoring, 119 to 112.
Yeah, this shows how bad a team that Adam has. That Roden can be like, oh shit, I didn't start Javonte Williams, but it'll be okay. I can roll out Brandon Ayuk, and that'll still be fine. It's kind of sad.
Mac Jones, it's bound to happen.
What's that?
When you start Mac Jones, it's bound to happen with Adam.
Yeah,
it's rough.
It is rough. Yeah, I got to feel for Adam. 2 guys who at one point Roden obviously won a championship, so he's he's in Hall of Fame status. Adam, his first year in, I think he was a 3 seed, and I don't think he's really done much since.
I'm in another league with Adam. He's dominating that league. He's got his hand firm grip on 1 seed. So seeing him in this position is kind of seeing both worlds. It's fantasy football for you.
Yeah, I mean, I'm 0-6. I won a championship in a league last year. And then right now in that same league, Stu's actually number 1 in that league by a lot. He has the same amount of point score that I do in this league. And I won that league last year. Now I'm 0-6 in that league this year. So that's fantasy, man. But all right, so we're gonna go to everyone's favorite segment. It used to be Barry's juice segment, but this one is obviously Tomato King segment, the tomato watch list, and so we're gonna get that right now. Roll the tape.
I don't like tomatoes and I don't think they like me. I wouldn't say I hate them and they're not my enemy. We do our best to coexist by staying far apart. I don't like tomatoes, they always make me far too unhappy.
All right, so we're back. Okay, so last week I had a guy who's in the playoffs, who actually was 5-1 in the playoffs, at the 6th spot or the 7th spot. But you know what? I looked at our 7 or 12 this week, and I'm like, you know what? I think these are the proper 7 to 12 guys. These are the proper tomato watch list guys. I took a hard look at these teams. But we're gonna go with 7th spot. We're gonna go with Paul. I think he's got a really good team. I think he's obviously been snake bitten. Had bad luck the last few weeks. However, he doesn't have a quarterback. His situation is really bad. He's had many opportunities to go out and get a starting quarterback. You mentioned a guy who's in the bottom list right now who has a backup quarterback who should be a starter in a fantasy league. And I don't know why he hasn't made a move for that yet. So Paul's the 7th spot. He could be upgrading his team to different positions, but instead he's trading a 4th round for Kadarius Toney. Dude, go get a quarterback. What's wrong with you? So that's my 7th spot. 8th spot, I got ZT's fantasy team. We kind of did a look over his team. It's really not that impressive. Lamar's not getting him points. Where is he getting those points from? Just did a weird trading Jamar Chase, who solid rookie receiver, 5th round pick. He went and get Terry McLaurin. Terry McLaurin's fine, but they don't have a quarterback. Jamar Chase has a quarterback as the guy he played with in college. Great. I mean, a great move by Hodge to do that. And he says he's going to keep him. As of right now, he's keeping Justin Jefferson. No, who are 3 keepers? He said in our group message the other day. He's going to keep him for the next 5 years. Chase.
Chase, Lamb, and Jefferson, right?
Yeah. So those 3. And you know what? He's happy about it. And I said, you're not going to keep those guys for the next 5 years. They won't be on your team in the next 5 months. I bet. Okay, but that's my 8th spot. My 9th spot, I got Stu. Back-to-back wins. Really happy for the guy. He's really working his ass off this year. I think he's amongst the top 4 in moves this year. You gotta hand it to him. We said last year he had his head in the books during campaign season, during election season. His head's up, and he's making a run for the playoffs. If he beats Cobb this week, he could be in the top 6. We'll see. Big game for him. Upset alert. The next one in my 10th spot, I got Barry. He was in our top 6. He had a big week where he beat Cobb 2 weeks ago, or last week. And we were all, Barry's got a good team, but actually it's a really bad team. Looking at his team last week and then what he's got going on this week. And I noticed it was weird. He was rolling out Tyler Boyd every week a few weeks ago. I'm like, dude, Tyler Boyd's at number 3 now. Why are you still rolling him out? Teagan's is not out yet anymore. He's back, but he still rolled him out. He's got a bad team. A lot of problems over there. Barry needs to kind of overhaul the stackers, and he should have a good team because he didn't trade. He didn't do any trades this offseason. He had all his picks. So he should have a good team. I don't know what's going on over there. The Myles Gaskin really hurt him. So 11th spot, this is a part of the Tomato Bowl this weekend. I have Roden in this spot. I like Roden's team. I don't like not starting Javonte Williams when Antonio Brown has been out. Don't like that at all, but I like his team top to bottom. He's got a talented team. If you were to tell me that team was a 4-3 team, I would say, oh, okay, that makes sense. But it's a 1-5 team, has a shit ton, almost 100 more points than Adam does. But I like Roden at 11th spot. So my Tomato King, and I have the ongoing bet right now with Cobb that Adam will not win another game in the rest of the season. And I have my 12th spot right now. And it's a bad team. There's no sign of any thing coming from that team. It's dead. It's lifeless, no pulse. He won't win another game this season. 139 he scored last week. That'll be his highest, the season high. And it's going to be going downhill from there. So that is my Tomato King. Adam, it's all you, buddy. All right, what do you guys think?
Jesus.
What do you guys think?
He's out of it.
Wait, I mean, Adam's 12.
Oh, I thought you were calling on Alex to talk and you called him
Nah,
Adam.
play Adam. It's all you, buddy. Tomato King.
Yeah, no, I think you had the rankings. That's pretty much how I have it. I put Paul in my top six. I put Ruben down. Just because Ruben's sitting at 3-3 and he's about to lose this week with his stack on bye. And I just want to touch on, like, you kind of invest in these players that all have the same bye week, hoping that you're going to be dominating up till when they have bye. Unfortunately, that's not the case for Ruben. And he's about to go down to a messy 3-4, most likely. And then Barry on the other hand, like, I'm still bitter about his win against me, seeing how his team is right now. It's a rough looking team, and now he's starting to approach the bye weeks. Like, Eckler's out this week. He still has his pack stack bye coming up in a very important week 13, which I think that's going to be make or break for Barry. But I have also, I think you had him at 10. I also had him right there as well. So I think I think you had it right on point with the teams. I'm calling on Adam to get a win this week so we can just be done with this bet. And I'm not watching his gross team trying and hoping that they win every week, but we'll see.
Alex, what do you think about the tomato rankings, tomato watch?
Yeah, I have it pretty much the same as Cobb does, because I think that the three of us on the show, I think the three of us are going to win this week. And so that puts Ruben losing, that puts 6, 7, and 8 losing. So Barry losing and Stu losing. And then that means that we all had Paul beating ZT's team this week. So that elevates Paul to the same record as all those guys. And as we know, he's got way more points scored. So I have Paul at number 6 after this week. And so my Tomato King rankings at 7, it just goes Ruben. 8, it goes Barry. At 9 right now, I actually have let's see. I have Stu up at 9. Stu's been playing well. I have Stu up at 9. 10, I have ZT. 11, I have Roden, and then 12, I have the unanimous Tomato King. I have Adam right there at 12.
Yeah. It's just in. Roden just set his lineup, and now the new projection is 118 to 108.
Jesus,
Roden,
terrible.
It's great that he just did that. I don't know how.
Yeah. I will say just a quick point. I don't want to see this happen, but if I'm Paul, like, obviously being one game back with the terrible start he's had is big for him. I mean, him and Stu could make a trade coming up. Stu has a quarterback that he needs. Stu's not getting any value after this week from Jalen Hurts. I think now it's the time for Stu to ship him off. Again, I don't want to see this happen because I think they both have decent shots at making playoffs, but could be interesting trade partners if they ever. I'd love to see those texts between the two negotiating some trades, but we'll see.
I mean, unless Herbert gets hurt, you want to have a good backup, especially if Stu's in the playoff running. I don't think you want to trade a possible backup in case Herbert gets hurt. I don't think he's going to get hurt, but you never know.
At some point.
If Stu was down and out, I think he would make that trade. I think if Stu was like if he was Roden's record or Adam's record, I think he would make that trade. But right now, he's 3-3. He's in the thick of things. But yeah, 2 weeks ago, he was considering doing that. I think they talked, then nothing happened. But Stu's on a 2-game win streak since that conversation. Go figure.
Yeah.
But all right, folks. Well, we're in for a big week this weekend. It's like we said last week, that was a big week, the 6 games, but now it's 7. So now we're going to see what teams, it's an odd number. So we're going to see whether teams you're not over 500, or if you're under 500 at this point. So the 3-3 spots, that's where we're going to see a lot of breakaways from the 3-3 and 4-3s. And I'm very curious to see how that works and where that breaks. But yeah, we'll see you guys next week on the next Cobb and Dash Show edition. Stay tuned and see where the Adam Milowich win sweepstakes, where that goes. I think I'm going to win that bet. So, all right, guys, take it easy.